Hello, my name's Owen and welcome to the JOL Wedding Podcast. Join myself and my co-host Caroline as we bring you all the inspiration and advice you need whilst planning your wedding. Hi everybody, how are we all doing? My name's Owen. Welcome back to another episode of the JOL Wedding Podcast. It is February 6th at the point of recording this intro. I can't believe how fast this year is going. It's going too quickly for my liking. Wedding season is coming thick and fast for us here at JOL. This week, my co-host is back. My mum, Caroline, is back with me this week. Last week, it was just me and Camilla from CJC Makeup and Hair. This week, however, I met this lovely couple at the TWIA Wedding Awards last year. I've just got Ollie on with me this week, but it's Ollie and Lydia. They are the wedding content creators based near Coventry. It was fabulous to actually meet them at the awards. It's such a great pleasure to be able to go along to those events and just meet and network and see so many wonderful suppliers in the wedding industry and making new friends. It's so nice. But like I say, they're wedding content creators, something that has become so popular in the past few years, usually starting over in America and Australia. That's how they started to become quite big content creators. And now they've actually moved over to the UK. I have actually worked with a couple. We haven't worked with Ollie and Lydia yet. We haven't worked with them yet. That was just quite a shame. But hopefully one day we will. And I really hope you enjoy this episode. Let's get into it. Right. Hi, Ollie. How are you doing? You okay?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very excited to be speaking to you both today.
Good.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to the JOL Wedding Podcast. It's been quite a while since I last saw you. I've been wanting to get you on for quite a while. So if anyone doesn't know Ollie and his partner are both wedding content creators.
Yeah.
Go on, introduce yourself, Ollie. Then
we met quite a few months back now when we were both up for an award.
That's right.
We were both kind of sat just next to each other and kind of egging each other on when our categories came up. And unfortunately, neither of us won that night, but we were very lucky to be shortlisted as Midlands finalists. So
yeah, no, that was wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to be a part of the wedding awards. Oh, technical issues already. She's not to be thrown out. She's not to be thrown out of a thing already. So anyone watching this, you're gonna be able to see.
I'm right under the table.
Right, there we go. Technical difficulties all done. So as you can see, we are doing another podcast via Zoom because we do live quite far away. So Ollie, where is it you're actually based?
So we're based in Coventry at the moment, but we have been all over the shop. I'm originally from South Birmingham and Lydia is originally from Lincoln, but we've been working and living in London here and there. So at the moment, Coventry, but who knows the next time we'll speak.
Crazy, yeah, crazy, all over the gaff, literally.
I think with our industry anyway, you naturally go all over the UK or the Midlands because. We're based in Shrewsbury, so it's not too far, but it is quite a far drive for a podcast. That's why I thought we'll hop onto Zoom and kind of get all the listeners listening to it that way, which will be really, really good to have. So we'll kind of start right at the beginning. Ollie, if you can kind of just break down what is a content creator.
Yeah, so it's a relatively new thing in the UK. But it's been going on particularly in America and Australia for quite a long time. And that's how me and Lydia discovered it, to be honest. We got engaged in May 2021. I should know that.
Yeah, get the years right.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And all of a sudden, we just were on wedding TikTok then and wedding Instagram. And we started to see this thing called wedding content creation. And it just kind of dawned upon us that actually it was something we were already doing at friends' weddings by accident.
Oh, okay.
So if you've never heard of wedding content creation before, the idea or the way I describe it is we're like an undercover guest at your wedding. So we come to the day dressed as a guest if you've got a theme or anything. I always say that because sometimes people have certain themes. We will come in the same theme. I won't wear like a dodgy moustache or anything like that, trying to be like an undercover detective, but we try and fit in, and then using the best quality iPhones, we capture hundreds of photos and videos, give them all to you within 24 hours, and then also capture and edit a certain amount of short, like reel type content. And the idea really is that we don't necessarily do the kind of traditional wedding photography or videography. We're almost after those little moments that if you're like a fly on a wall, you can capture. So it's the kind of cute and fun moments that you might not get with kind of another vendor. And
what's she trying to say? I'm quite fun. I'm quite fun. I know what you mean, because it is for us as a photographer. When you see that moment, say I'm just walking into a venue and I see a moment, my settings may not be right, but with you on the phone, bang, you've got that.
Yeah, nice and I think it's just like, I think we'll come on to this as well, but there's sometimes a bit of beef in the industry with content creators, but we are a completely different package. Like one of the things we always say to our couples is what we do doesn't replace a photographer or a videographer. No. It's just a different style. Like, I think the key thing that we have as kind of almost a USP is that we get everything to the client within 24 hours. And the reason for that is because we almost want to bridge that gap, because with photography, it takes weeks to go through everything, color correct everything. Like I'm preaching to the converted with you guys, and couples will know out there when they speak to photographers. Likewise, videography, going through hundreds and hundreds of hours to craft that perfect kind of masterpiece for couples.
Literally.
It takes a long time, but we're living in a bit of a different age now where because we're all used to being able to just pull a phone out of our pocket and we're at a concert and we can record something, or we can do that instantly. We almost want that instant way to relive the day, because obviously with your wedding day, it's the most important day of your life.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's literally something I say at every single kind of meeting we have with a client, wedding fair, anything like that. You know, they're trusting us to capture that, you know, the best day of their life. So it's a real privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. But with social media now it's changed so much, and every different platform now is coming out and replacing other platforms. You know, once it was photos, then it's now videos, and the world is completely changing, and it's changing so fast. Like you say, people want things instantly now. You know, if I want to obviously buy something online, it's there the next day. If I want to order takeaway, it's there within an hour. You know, it's obviously for us as photographers and videographers, that's never going to happen. We can't edit that quick. But like you say, if you're content creators, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant that you can get things to the client that quickly and of good quality, because obviously, you know, you've got friends that will always have their mobile phones out and take photos and videos and everything like that. But for you as an expert, bringing that all together and doing those reels, that it's a good option to have for people that maybe have some money in their budget and thinking, actually, that part of my wedding, actually, that's what we're really interested in. That what means the most to us. You know, some people aren't into photography and videography and content creators. They'd rather have £200 more behind the bar and
you say that. So I had a conversation a few days ago with a journalist from the Times who is doing a piece on the rise of content creators, and he wasn't a person that was getting married or anything like that, but he very bluntly at the end said to me, well, I just think I'd put the however much behind the bar instead. It's just not important to me. And that's the thing with all of these things, with wedding vendors, different things are important to different people. And I think, like you've said, with I think the way social media has gone and so much of people's lives are on social media, I think it makes certain people think, actually, I do really want to capture those other elements that my photographer or videographer might miss. But it's not the case that we replace them at all. Like, we've done weddings where we've had 2 photographers, 2 videographers, and then me and Lydia as well. And it's like, it's crazy. We've got like
6 of them.
Oh wow. I bet the guests were like, "Oh my god, it's like BBC's turned up."
It literally is, and I think it's because there's almost that, like, and this is definitely not a real word, but I tend to make up words. It's like the Disneyification of your life, and I'll trade that. Tell Walt.
Yeah.
Patent pending.
I think it's just that people want to, because they've spent so much money on that day, they want to have everything that's kind of magical. Like, wedding budgets are going up, even though times are tough. But I think there's a certain generation who will spend a lot of money on photography, videography, content creators, because I think potentially us as an industry as a whole, we've potentially helped with the education piece that actually, if you do invest in the wedding media that you're getting, it is going to mean then years to come you aren't going to have any regrets, because I think
that's what we try. We try, don't we? We try our hardest to educate people getting married, where the best place is to spend budget. So like you say, everyone's very, very different, but when you're spending a large chunk of your budget in your video photography and your content creators, that's moments you're going to have forever. If you have a sparkly dance floor or a sweet cart, that's there for the night. That's it. But what's
all comes back to what's relevant at the time and what means most to you. Like we were just saying, that's all everything comes back to is things like that. What I think it's scary how much phones and iPhones and whatever smartphone you have, the cameras on them, that they're pretty much right. Like say, they are rivaling the cameras that say photographers and videographers use. The cameras are absolutely amazing. Sometimes you can't even tell the difference between them. There are obviously little things to say the trained eye that might you can tell things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're just amazing.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to, with everything, it comes down to the operator a little bit. But even when it comes to phones, like obviously there's a lot there that like the focal point's already set for you, and that they've literally got chips in them that automatically adjusts photos based on light and all that kind of stuff. But there is still a skill in being able to see the right photo.
Oh, certainly.
And it's the kind of thing of, like, I could give both of the cameras that the two of you use to someone who's never used it before, and they would potentially take a photo that, even on auto, that would look like it was from an iPhone 15 years ago. Like, I think there is still such a skill in seeing what that photo and video could be, and I think that's why people still invest.
Side of it. As a creative person, you have got to know what you're shooting, why you're shooting it, and what that purpose is for. So you've already got it in your head what you need to do with that, how that fits. But also, you've got to be a people person as well. So you've got to read people. So you've got to know, if Dad's going to stand there, is he going to cry? And my best looked at the dad who maybe is hard as nails, never going to cry in a million years. But the bridesmaids, they're going to be blubbering. So where am I going to put my camera? Am I going to concentrate on Dad and not have a reaction? Or am I going to concentrate on the bridesmaids and have an amazing reaction?
Yeah, and I think it's that thinking on your feet a little bit as well, isn't it? Because I think, we've all been in that situation where it's deciding in that split moment, to make that decision. And sometimes you will get it wrong. Sometimes the hardest of nails looking dad might actually turn into like a bit of a blubberer. But
I've had that quite a few times.
There was a recent wedding we did, to be fair, in kind of like first looks, and oh my god, it was such a beautiful moment. Like the dad walked up to his daughter, kind of gave her a hug, and didn't react at all. And then like there was a split second where he just started looking at her, and then he walked away, and he walked like 5 meters and just broke down. He was like, "That's my little girl." And then he was just standing there looking at her, and his wife came up, and they just both were standing looking at it and like sobbing. It was like us and there wasn't a videographer there that day, but there was a photographer. By the end of it, me, Lydia, and Sam, the photographer, we were all in tears as well as them.
Yeah.
It's such a privilege to be able to be part of some of the most intimate moments of people's lives. And I think that's just why Lydia and I love it. Like the majority of the time we do it together, which is quite nice because we're a couple and we're a good team. And I think it's just
try being married 25 years and working with your husband.
Oh really?
Yeah.
And now the son as well.
Yeah, so now obviously his son as well. So obviously me and James are obviously both photographers, and then obviously now Owen is come on board doing videos. So
yeah.
Oh, what a dream team!
We go to weddings and
at times.
Yeah, we go to weddings and me and James will do something and people will clock and they'll go, "Ah, you two together?" And I'll go,
Yeah. We've been married 25 years ago.
"Oh, isn't that nice? Oh God, I couldn't work my husband. Oh God, I'd kill him." And you have that bit of banter with him, and then others,
And then I club along into the conversation.
Well, and we've had one that said this one guest came up to us and goes to me, "Is that your husband?" And I've gone, yeah. And then, "And that's your son?" And I've gone, yeah. Because how old's your son? And I sort of said, and she went, "Oh, my God, you don't look old enough." And then she looked at James and went, "Yeah, he does." So, yeah, it is nice. It is nice working together, and it takes a certain couple to do that, to work together.
And I think it's really weird because when so we were also bringing through a few other people who are starting to work with us and they're amazing. But it's really funny how, as a couple, you almost can signal to the other person without saying it, without even really like eye movements and just like random stuff with like, and for some reason, or just like little, very subtle kind of hand movements. But because like, well, you guys have worked together for a very long time, longer than me and Lydia have been together. But it's even the thing of like, I think what was quite nice is Lydia and I met at university at our kind of media society where we were doing, it was De Montfort University, and it was Demon FM and Demon TV. And so we kind of got to know each other through doing projects about where we were filming stuff and doing different things. And so actually someone said the same thing you've said to Lydia a couple of days ago from a venue she was at, saying, "I don't know how you work with your partner." And then it kind of, when we spoke about it in the evening, we're like, well, we kind of have never not worked together. Like we've always been doing projects and stuff. So it's just kind of the norm for us, really.
So that relationship has actually started long before you actually became official partners. That that relationship has built over so many years. But it's the way that we contact with each other across rooms just by clicking. Just go.
There's things like dolphins that we can sort of click, and we instantly know what the other person is talking. So obviously, because at the church, you can't go, "Oi, Kaz, get him away!"
Hey,
Oi.
About to go down the aisle. Hey.
So you can't do it. So you do have subtle movements, and we have clicks. But I remember one wedding, James was at the front and I'm always at the back. So James sort of went and sort of like moved his hands to sort of usher me, to move out the way. So I instantly obviously don't know what I was doing, but then I didn't see him, so he sort of did it again. And you got the groomsmen sat on the front pew looking at James and sort of moving out the way and sort of looking and then looking back at James and pointing, you on about me? Do I need to move out the way? What?
No.
What? And then James like going, no. And then sort of pointed to me. And he's looking around going, who the bloody hell is he on about? But yeah, it is quite funny. We have sort of moments like that as well. But we sort of know how each other works, don't we? So we sort of read it really quickly.
Yeah, obviously because we do photo and video together, so we know exactly whilst they're setting up like flashes and things like that, I can kind of get my stuff there. So then that offers an opportunity. So we have worked with one content creator once before, Mrs. Bunn, who was also at the Wedding Awards. We worked with her. She was really lovely, and it was nice to see how it actually kind of works on a day as well. So, obviously, she followed us around. So I imagine that's what you guys do. We all work together, and we all got some really good shots. So, yes, like I was saying, you kind of set up, I get my bit, and the content creator got what I was getting, and then you were able to get your shots, and it just worked quickly.
It did. She was brilliant. But talking to her, obviously, when you have your downtime and things like that, I want to know: do you come up against like photographers and videographers that go, you're not even part of what we're doing? You can go and sit over there. You're not even part of this, and you're just a job's worth. What the hell is content creators? Just a fad. Off you go. Yeah. Type of thing.
Yeah, so we haven't experienced it that much. I know, so we're part of a content creator just WhatsApp group, and I know there are some people who have experienced really bad cases of that. We've been quite lucky in all the weddings we've done. We've had a few photographers who are a little standoffish, but the thing we try and do, and it's becoming less of an issue now that photographers and videographers are more used to content creators being around, is we just try and sometimes we reach out to them beforehand if we've not worked with them, but we just say at the start of the day, and we say this to our couples as well, we're like, the priority is always in particular going to be the photographer, so we will always
photographer.
Yes.
I mean, we're the one who had the relationship here, so don't hate me for a second. And don't let your mom get too smug.
Yeah, he's going to kick me under the table now.
Yeah, just a little slight dig.
But yeah, we say that to them, that we're like, actually, if there's a moment where it's a split second moment, only the photographer can get there, then we give them the priority, because we know we're kind of, for most couples, an addition, and we just try and explain to the photographer and videographer that actually we're not rookies. Like, our background, so I used to work in the media for a very long time, so I'm used to photo shoots, and I've also worked for a marketing company, so I've just been doing some things for Costa Coffee with a marketing company where I've been on photo shoots and things, and Lydia's background is in TV, so we're used to having the presence of other photographers and videographers, and we just try and explain to everyone that we will make sure we're never in your shots, and if ever we are, and there's a particular thing you're trying to get, if you ever need to just give us a look to move, we will. But we are always so mindful of where the other vendors are. And it's the kind of thing of, say, for example, if we worked a wedding with the three of you, we would likely kind of position ourselves in a similar place to both, like to two of you. So then that means that we're definitely not going to be in anyone's shots. And if there's a particular thing that a couple want, then we're very clear with the other vendors that we've been asked to do this. But most of the time, it's not an issue. The only time where it could be an issue is in those big moments where we're all trying to get the same. We're all trying to create content from the same thing. So like the kind of walk down the aisle.
Yeah.
Pardon me, those kind of times. But we just always try and work with them. But there are definitely some cases in the industry where people get really annoyed. And I think it's just because some vendors see content creators as like competition, whereas it's the kind of thing of like, and there might be some content creators out there who try and pitch themselves as an alternative, but we're very mindful. Like, unless a couple is really, really sure, we probably wouldn't do a wedding without a photographer, because we always say we're very proud of the work that we can create.
Yeah.
The difference of you having a DSLR with multiple lenses, you're never going to get that from an iPhone. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Yeah,
no. And isn't just the resolution even, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
You couldn't print anything off from an iPhone because the resolution's not going to be as high as what we could do.
Yeah, and it's just we are just like honest with people. Like, so we were approached by a couple last week who were really keen, but they thought we were an alternative to it. And we were like, this is what we can do. We show you examples, but we would recommend you have a photographer. And they were trying to use us as that. And they didn't decide to book in the end. And I'm absolutely fine with that. Like, we're very proud of what we do and confident in what we do. But because like we're going through the process of getting married and knowing it, we try, and because we know so many people in the industry, we just want to, we're not trying to get anyone else's business, because we think there's a whole market out there for people who also want a content creator as well as all the kind of traditional.
But thing is, for me, is as a shooter that I say for the church, I'm the back of the church, James in the front. I will have James in my shot. I will have Owen in my shot. If the content creator, that I will have them in my shot. The part of the couple's day anyway.
Yeah.
There's going to be instances throughout a wedding day that you just simply can't get out the way. You simply can't hide somewhere where you can still get your shots, but be obscure to the other shooter.
But that's when I think people like that I think they're just being selfish. You know, at the end of the day, we're there to shoot for the couple.
Yeah.
We're not there to shoot for ourselves. Yes, it's great when we get, some really nice photos. They get some really nice clips of video for them. That's great for social media and whatever. But that's how I feel like some of those people just think about. They just think about, oh, if I want to use that for social media, I can't because the other person's in it. Well, suck it up. You're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the couple, and that's what all these people need to think about. And just get off their high horse, honestly, because that's what they.
We're all in it together. This is it.
Exactly.
Our own game, like Owen said, is for that couple. That's it. They're our employees, so we do what we need to do for that couple.
And everyone goes out their way to do as much as they can to make sure that their day is perfect. Like every vendor I've worked with has always had that. And it's the kind of thing as well where I can imagine that back in the day, maybe like 5 or so years ago, maybe longer, there was probably a lot of beef between photographers and videographers as videography exploded.
There is still some now. You know, there is some photographers that will be how can I say this nicely? I don't like that photographer. I don't like that photographer. I don't like working with that videographer or something like that. But I think us as a business, as a family, as people, we're all in it together. We, if we're booked, we'll pass it on to someone else and help everyone else. It's not like that. We're not helpful or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's enough work for everyone in the industry. There's enough work wherever. I had an inquiry the other day. Someone a photographer recommended me to go shoot at Hawkston Hall for somebody. And what I said, yeah, that's great. I'm free. The couple then emailed me and said, this is what we're after. And I could have easily said yes and done it because I was free. But what they've described is really not what I do. It's not my kind of style. And I said, well, tell you what, I know someone who can do it for the same price, if not a little bit cheaper than what I do. And he is exactly what you're looking for. If you have a look at his work, what you've just described to me, that is him to a T. And fair play to him. I recommended him, and they went and they booked him because they said they emailed me back saying thank you because he's exactly what they were looking for.
So that perfect recommendation.
It was that perfect recommendation for it, and that's exactly how it is. So I could have easily taken that booking for myself at a lovely couple, lovely venue, and I passed that on to him because that wasn't me. It wouldn't have worked for me on the day. And it's not what I do, but that is exactly what he does. So it was more of the kind of old retro style of videography they were looking for. So that I know that's what he does, more traditional, and that's exactly what he did. But that just shows how things have come from back there into what we're doing now.
And I think it's just for if you're looking for it's any vendor, not just photographer, videographer, content creator. I think that's why I always say to any couples that have a Zoom call with them, have a phone call with them. If you're ask all the questions under the sun, because you'll find vendors that are willing to like spend that time with you and have that discussion, because you do really need to kind of get to know the people that are going to be there. Because actually, your photographer, videographer, content creator, you probably spend more time with them than any other person apart from your partner on your wedding day. So if you don't feel comfortable with them, then it's not worth that relationship proceeding.
But we always say it's not just for the couple as well. You've got to know that will they be a suitable fit for your families?
And your guests.
You know, that if like we have couples that go, I just want a photographer that captures all the fun and the energy and, you know, all the laughter and everything like that. And I'm like, yeah, bring that because I love that.
Yeah.
If you go there and it's absolutely flat, there's no atmosphere, everyone's bored because they're either cold or hungry or, you know, something, you're thinking, I can't capture that.
Yeah, that's where it comes. That's when the couple needs to realise you've got to be realistic about your day. You've got to know your guests, and
so if you know what, there's no point looking saying this is what I want, but in real terms, you're not going to have that.
So, like you say, if there's going to be a flat atmosphere, and you know that your family or friends aren't really going to bring that, that's when you can kind of look at other vendors. In terms of last week, we had the wonderful Christian Fletcher on, magician. He is someone who can bring that kind of oomph to a wedding, having a laugh with the guests, interacting with them,
party, entertain them,
smiling because he we didn't decide to go for him in the end because we decided to go down a different route, but we did really consider having him at our wedding because he was at our so Lydia and I get married at Foxtail Barns in April this year, terrifyingly. And when we went for our taster evening, he was actually there and he was going around and that is a perfect thing actually for even if you didn't want a magician, or like he does bring that energy and get that energy out of people. So actually, that's a really good tip if you think you've got, particularly potentially if you've got older guests, that having that person who can keep the energy high while you're off doing your photos, you're off speaking to different people, it is a really good
exactly. And then kind of going back to what we were saying before, we said so many times on this podcast in terms of having your relationship with the vendors themselves is, if you don't, well, our main thing in terms of, obviously because it's photography, if you don't like your photographer or videographer, you're not going to like what they produce, because all you're going to remember is how they are and things like that. So, you know, we haven't heard of many experiences of that. We've heard rumors of what other people have done or whatever, but
you always guarantee someone will go, "Ooh, I know so and so photography or videography and blah 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 blah." And they always let you know what they think, and you're like, "Okay, then thank you very much."
And they do this and they do that, but yeah. I think just kind of going back to the whole kind of social media thing, I think it's just crazy how far it has come. So you're looking now. I'm actually doing people's weddings who are my age. So bear in mind, I'm 24. I'm nowhere near ready for that kind of equipment yet.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I'm not there yet. But I've got
a question for you to interrupt.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Would you get your photography done by your parents, or is that too much?
No.
Can we stick a GoPro on your mom's head throughout the day.
That's actually a really cool idea. That's actually a really fun idea.
Suggested for us. They were like, "Well, you're the ones who always take photos and videos." So, and someone suggested us having like a Francis Bourgeois, like that train kind of shot of us the whole day. Might ruin the other photos, but
I think it's hard. Like before talking off air, we were saying, as someone who works in the industry, you know, so many suppliers that will do amazing jobs. It's hard then to pick which ones you'd want to do your day, to capture your day, or to be part of your day.
Yeah.
So when Owen gets married,
we can kind of
sort of know what venue he's going to pick. But it would be, I'll probably be the mother from hell, to be honest, and going, okay, these are the photographers you can have. You can have A, B, C, or D. I don't mind which any of those 4 you have, but you're not having anyone else.
It could be 4, 5, 6.
But only those over 4.
Yeah, but we know so many. But so obviously, when say I get married, it's going to be crazy because I don't want to hurt any of my friends' feelings by not picking them to do services. But then they'd end up coming to the wedding anyway, like in the evening or something. So
and it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's a good thing to have that you will know so many people's amazing work that it's actually going to be really difficult for you to decide. Yeah. But that's an amazing thing to have.
But I think it's. So sorry to interrupt. Just on that, so for us as suppliers and vendors in this industry, it's really hard for us to pick the suppliers because we know the best. But it's really hard for clients now and couples to pick because yes, we know the best. So we have got a good advantage. But these poor couples are looking and going, actually, which are the best? Which are, the worst? Which will fit my budget? Which will fit my style? Which one will fit my day, the look of my day, and the people that we are? So it is like it's hard for us, but it's a minefield for couples as well. And the thing, this is why we're doing our podcast, isn't it? To help these couples in choosing suppliers. So
yeah.
When it comes to content creators, I know it's a completely new thing. I'm still trying to get my head around Instagram.
But that's what I was going to say, that when I was going back to the next wedding I was doing, I'm at the lovely Peckforton Castle in Cheshire, which is on Valentine's Day, so that's going to be quite crazy.
Oh, wow, that would be beautiful.
But they're both my age, so it's going to be quite crazy seeing people my age getting married. Because I can technically. I was born in '99, so technically I'm a millennial or whatever you want to say.
Just about.
But it's when like the people who've grown up with all this technology and the millennials, they've seen this content, growing up with it since TikTok ever came out. It's just gone absolutely wild for everyone. So that's what I've been lucky enough to get bookings through TikTok with the content I've been able to put out there. But you're going to be looking at all these millennials going to be having content creators because it's what they've grown up with, it's what they're used to, it's what they love to look at and watch.
What celebrities do now as well, isn't it?
Well, that's actually a kind of thing, really. Of it's with you saying like social media's gone crazy. That is what is stemming the majority of content creators' business. Is actually that it kind of starts with certain people doing it themselves and getting friends to do it, but then actually it becomes such an important thing for someone that they're like, actually, I want a professional to do this. Yeah. And that's why I think like there's that generation, I think, also understands that, yes, it is quite easy to just pick up your phone and create a TikTok, but to do it well is more difficult, and then to do it while you're at a wedding and putting that on one of your guests, that's where I think they value the vendors more, because I think this generation, because do you know what, quite a lot of people, so we did the National Wedding Show, and it was really interesting to hear like what the people who had never heard of it thought it initially was. We almost did our own like focus group type thing, and 99% of people said, oh, social media for your wedding. But it kind of is, but it also isn't. And the reason I say that is that I would say 90% of our couples don't actually end up posting any of our content that we create.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it might be a bit more, but what they want it almost more for the memories, and it's just a different way of capturing that. So they might privately share those videos with people, but it's like if you've been on wedding TikTok, I think I was trying to find a pair of them. You will have seen the trend that it's not really a trend anymore, but
the
sunglasses.
The sunglasses.
Yeah.
And there's only been one wedding that we've done in the last 6 months where they haven't asked us to do that. And it's more than anything, and it is a great thing because it's not really a trend anymore, but it's really nice because you get to have a bit of fun with your guests. You also get all of those photos and then that video as well. And it means that what happens quite often is our couples will then WhatsApp that to friends and share those memories like you would if you went on a night out or to a gig or something, and the next day you're kind of all debriefing and you're sharing
all
content between each other.
All the drunken photos and things like that.
Yeah. And it's like, actually, not all of our couples want to post that publicly and get 1 million views on TikTok or whatever, but they want that content to be able to share that memory kind of instantly. And we're well up for if someone wants to share our content and then it gets millions of views and it hopefully leads to a booking or two for us, we're more than happy for that. But yeah, it was really interesting because we thought when we first started that people would post more stuff than they do, and it's just really interesting that actually it's more for their memories.
I think that's crazy that they're not posting a lot. But then, to be fair, we don't. There's only a few.
It's still very personal. It's still personal, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Well, we kind of give out. Sometimes it could be 1,000 to 1,500 images, but I don't expect to see them all on social media either.
No, I think social media is brilliant. If I'm going to say this nicely, the majority of people put the odd bits up. When it comes to things that are personal to them, they want to keep it personal. They don't want to share it.
Yeah.
And that's why we've got such a privilege of being able to see and capture those moments. Like I think that's why it is just an honor to do people's weddings, because it's like there was a moment we had that we would never post anywhere because it was just so personal. But it was a bride who unfortunately their father became really ill the day before her wedding, and so he wasn't able to come to the ceremony. And then partway through the day he turned up. He wasn't in the greatest of states, but it was such a moment, because I think it was just before food, and the venue coordinator let us know, just because they were being nice and they would like you might want to capture some stuff, but let's see how he is. And so I was there with the bride, and the moment that she kind of embraced him and how much it meant to both of them, I was so glad that we managed to capture it. But it was the kind of thing of like I was holding a gimbal and turning at the same time, because I kind of felt bad to be in that
to watch that moment. Yeah, to watch it.
But it was like, actually she thanked us so much that we had that, and he was able to do he had food, he was able to do his speech, and then he left fairly soon afterwards. But it just meant so much to the bride that he actually managed to get there, because you can imagine what it must have felt like from his point of view. He was really ill, and you wouldn't want to miss that day for anything in the world. And it was just, once again, that's why I constantly just feel like it is a privilege for us to be able to do this job.
Yeah, we've just had one of our couples we captured last October. Unfortunately, the groom's dad's passed away.
Yes.
And like I say, it's nice that they're actually putting photos that we took of him, because obviously we was probably the last person we actually took photos of him. And
he was such a lovely bloke
It was so lovely. He was so smiley as well. It was so lovely. And to have those photos that we've captured that actually captures him smiling and laughing and everything like that, that they start showing those on social media, and it just, for us, it means the world that we captured.
I've had one unfortunate moment where just before the speech is about to happen, so they've eaten during the wedding breakfast, and they're getting ready for speeches, and the father of the bride, bless him, actually found out that his best friend had passed away literally then, just before he's about to do the speech. So he's already got the microphone that I captured the speeches on him, and he found out during that. I thought, God, you're that is so unfortunate to have witnessed on your daughter's wedding day. That's horrible. But fair play to him. He stood up, he did his speech, and he absolutely nailed it. Considering,
yeah, I think though that is probably a bigger point that both from all of us, that not all of our work necessarily gets shown elsewhere. I think it's a thing of people should remember, as you're planning your big day, that the stuff that ends up on social media is 1% of a day, and it can be made to look as perfect as anything. But all these moments can happen at a wedding, and there can be fights at a wedding, there can be fallings out, there can be lots of stuff, but that obviously always doesn't end up on social media. So I think it's just worth remembering that, because we all picture our perfect day of the wedding day and everything goes right, but things don't always go right, and that's fine. Like you don't have to have that perfect Disneyified wedding, and that's absolutely fine.
Sorry do you think that is down to social media now, that everything has got to look perfect? Now I love my house, and I love following home accounts. That's what I like. So when you look, and every home is absolutely immaculate and perfect, there's not a speck of dust. So is there that like, obviously I'm talking to you as a couple that are planning a wedding, is there that pressure to make sure the wedding is that perfect?
I think as someone who's planning a wedding, we don't necessarily personally feel the need for it to be perfect, but I think seeing lots of things on social media does make you almost think, should we go the extra mile? Should we spend the extra money? And it is dangerous with that, and it does make it, you can go a bit OTT, I think, on your wedding day, but I think people just need to remember what matters to them most. And for us, we're having a videographer, we're having a content creator and a photographer, because photos mean a lot to us and videos mean a lot to us. And so we've invested more in that sense, and we're not doing favors, we're not actually having a wedding cake, because those things just don't matter as much to us, but then for other people they matter a lot. And I think that's something you should just remember when you're looking through the videos, which could be like a celebrity who have put, like, I know there was a case recently where it was a business person spent 50 million on his daughter's wedding, and it's like you're seeing all of those crazy things. You're never going to be able to compete with that. And if you can, then
hey, book us. Yeah, we'll do it together. We'll do it all
the
together.
three of us will come with a very good package if that's your book.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll get all of your friends that you said you would, in an ideal world, want for your wedding. We'll all come if you've got a £50 million budget.
Yeah, my God, imagine that. £50 million wedding. Yeah. My God. But yeah, obviously that isn't the clientele that we are aiming for. We are.
I want that. I want that. I'm there for that.
Oh yeah, I think everyone would snap their hand up to have the opportunity to film something like that or capture something like that. But obviously, considering like you're getting married yourself, how's kind of the stress been your end in terms of planning it? Have you been able to handle the stress well? But then again, I think you might have, obviously being in the industry, you've got that advantage of knowing the contacts.
Yeah, so I think we've done all right. And it's funny because Lydia describes me as the bridezilla out of the two of us. But I think we have both worked in like kind of a lot of events and stuff before. So it's weird that we kind of care more about the running of the day and how the day all fits together than necessarily like the decor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how I would be as well. Actually, this one would be Mumzilla over here. I think
I'll be the Mumzilla. Obviously, I'll be the Mumzilla.
I think that's one thing. Obviously, like you mentioned that you're not going to have a wedding cake, which realistically that is quite a traditional thing that's gone back.
Yeah.
How many years? Hundreds of years, whatever.
Hundreds.
But that, like you say, that's something that you don't want, which is completely fine. So I think
evolutions of weddings. Do you think?
Well, yes, like an evolution of weddings going nowadays. But then I think Christian kind of touched on in the last podcast that don't listen to what anyone else says. It's your wedding. Pick whatever you want. So
I love that you
might
say
get the
that.
Mumzillas.
Yeah, because I love that you say that. Because what's really funny is we had exactly the same thing multiple times from our nearest and dearests, and at different times. Then when we suggested things that we're not doing, they kind of initially go, "Oh," and there was one time it was jokingly, but I called my own mom out because she said exactly the same thing. She's like, do whatever you want to do. And then it was the thing of, I was like, well, we might not have a traditional top table, to be fair. And she went, oh, really? And I could tell in her voice that she was like, oh, and then I literally just went, 5 minutes ago, you told me, do whatever you want, don't listen to anyone else. And she did then kind of do it. And we haven't had any pressure put on our family and stuff, but I think that is the thing. Like that has been quite a nice thing that we haven't had that stress of. I think some people can get where family members are very specific, and we're not. So we're not religious, and we don't really have any traditions in either family. So it has been quite nice to be able to look at every element of the day and say, is that something we want to do? And that's just been really fun as well to do. So we haven't found the overall process too stressful, apart from the weird thing, which I know a lot of couples that listening to this will probably find, is you kind of don't have much to do when you've got your main vendors booked. Then it gets to a year and you have loads to do again. Then there's a little gap where you don't really have anything to do again. And then you get to kind of 3 months and then there's loads to do again. And so that's probably the weirdest and sometimes most stressful thing, where you're like, cool, we need to do all these things, but we can't do them right now. We need to wait for this to happen to do that and stuff. So that's the only time we've really got that stress. But so it was 3 weeks to go last Thursday, 3 months to go last Thursday for us. And what has been really nice is we now don't feel as stressed because we've been speaking to all of our vendors and we trust them all. They all are lovely people, and it's just meant that we now feel so much more at ease because we've had all of those conversations with them. And we're like, whereas previously I might have been like, oh, well, who's going to do this? What we're going to do this? And we're like, cool, well, we know our videographer's going to sort that. We know our photographer's going to sort that. Our venue coordinator's great. She will be able to fix any problems. And yeah, so hopefully not too much stress.
Good. It's, I think it's nice that, when you're talking to your prospective client, should I say, you can say, well, we're in the same boat. We've just done it. Obviously Mrs. Bunn's not long just got married anyway as well. So that's how
I think it's last April she was,
Yeah, that's how she said she started, and then obviously posting her things on TikTok, they went viral, which then led her into the world of content creation.
But it's nice that you've done that. You're going on that journey. And then, obviously, once you've got married, you've been on that journey, and then you can advise other people. Because me and James got married 25 years ago, so things have changed. If you were rich, you'd have flowers on your tables. If you're not poor, but you're not rich, you'd have balloons on your table, and we had balloons. You'd have those traditional things because that's what's expected. So I'm looking forward to the evolution of weddings and I love seeing something that's completely different.
Yeah, and that's why I love the content creation. I'm always doing things like myself. I'm kind of, but that's the kind of thing about
me actually. Get behind the scenes.
But that's the thing about running your business as well. So obviously we're trying to promote ourselves in terms of having content to share. So there's that kind of personal side to content creation, but there's also a massive business side, which is like you said, that's how you came from with your background, which you'll completely understand. So that's one of those things that we're still having to do, and it's having the time to do it. But then when you've got someone like a content creator with you, I think that's just seems
you need to work with us and just go behind the scenes for us. I think
that's the thing. We do try where we can to also, when we are with vendors that are to try and help them out as well. Like if we can capture any content and then we can both post it. Like at the end of the day, I feel like the award ceremony that we went to, and I think it was just really nice because I would say 75, maybe more % of people there were just up for like collaborating rather than competition, because I think sometimes you can like I would never want to have a vendor at my wedding who was so like set on competing with other people that it then got in the way of their art and their creativity. So that's the thing. At the end of the day, we just want to we want to make friends while we're in this industry, because it's much easier working with friends than people that just want to compete with you.
Yeah,
friends that working with friends and family.
Well, yeah, in our case, yeah. Well, it was what from what I've seen on social media. I'll say that again. From what we've seen on social media, they actually had the nationals. Yes, the last weekend, the weekend just goes.
No, 2 days just gone. Yeah, 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago, just gone. And it was quite nice to see the guy who won the award when we were there for videography. He actually went on to win the national award. So big congratulations to Rue, because his videography is absolutely amazing. It's completely deserved.
Oh, Stockton House as well.
So Stockton House. I'm not sure if you've been there before. It's not too far away.
I'm aware of it. It's beautiful.
Oh, it's lovely, amazing, and the people there are amazing.
The first episode, I think it was the second episode we did of season 2 was with them. So they managed to get highly commended at the nationals. So big congratulations to them. That was absolutely
well done, guys.
That's absolutely amazing to achieve that, not in quite so little time as well. So hopefully one day we can get something like that. I'm sure we can one day. That's the aim.
Yeah, we do have quite a few weddings booked in, I think next year over your way, so you never know. We might
a cup of tea. Pop in for a cup of tea.
Right, as if it was the 4 of us and at Stockton House maybe.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But I'll say we'll kind of go back to kind of content creation itself. What is it that you offer exactly? So from people listening to this, obviously they kind of understand now what it is. What are the kind of different packages you kind of offer?
Sell yourself.
Sell yourself. Yeah.
So we have 3 packages: bronze, silver, gold. Not very original how we named it, but it all is just based on time. So we have a 4-hour package, and with all of our packages, we're flexible as to when we do that time. So there's certain people who don't really want the getting ready content in the morning, and they want the packages to stretch later in the day. We're flexible with that. So yeah, we've got the bronze package is 4 hours. Then it goes to 6 hours, and then it's kind of a 9 / sometimes we push 10 hours depending on how like long the person's day is. But what we would say with our kind of top package is it tends to stretch kind of a little bit of time before the bride gets in their dress, all the way to a few songs after the first dance, so we can still get that kind of the partying element as well as all of like the romantic moments. And with everything that we do, you get all of the photos and videos we capture, and then for each package there's a certain number of edited short form videos as well, and they can be there's always like a mini highlights reel, but then we talk to our couples and tailor the other videos based on them. So it could be just kind of like romantic moments and things set to music with just a little bit of editing, or it can even be, if anyone wants to do kind of like the TikTok trends like the glasses, or if they want to do any of the TikTok transitions where quite often we have like where brides brides kind of film themselves doing something before they've got their kind of makeup and everything, and they kind of jump when they look absolutely even more fabulous and stuff. So, but we're very chilled people, me and Lydia. So we always just take the couple's guidance, and like, even if, to be honest, you don't know exactly what you want covering at your wedding, that's absolutely fine, because just like with these guys, we all capture what happens, and if all of a sudden something big does happen that's unexpected, we all capture that. But then it's the kind of thing of like, if you want anything in particular, we're more than happy to help make that for you.
That's absolutely amazing. It's always nice for then, obviously, people who are listening, they understand what it is, and they understand exactly how that now fits in to their wedding day, which they can kind of look back on and go, is that something we want? Is it something we don't want? I might want that here. I might want that there. I might want it for the whole day. So
it may be someone that's near the end of their planning and going, actually,
it's something that I actually
haven't even thought about. I've got a little bit more money in my budget. What can I spend, and go, actually that fits in perfect. Never thought about that. That's definitely something we want to include. And knowing, the beginning of planning, then you can do that, and know the checklist and go, yeah, that's definitely what I want. That's definitely what I want. So that's really, really good.
Well, what we always like to do is kind of how we end the podcast is we ask just a few top tips of what exactly it is. So it could be to do with content creation itself. You have given us quite a few.
Ollie, you've been amazing with top tips.
So to be fair, I've already touched upon this, but my biggest bit of I'm going to do two, which I've kind of already touched upon, so it's kind of cheating. But my biggest one would be, don't feel any pressure to be booked to book a vendor. Like, take your time to check their reviews. Obviously, from a vendor's point of view, we all love guaranteeing bookings, and we want to be at your wedding when you get in touch with us. But you just do your due diligence, check their reviews out, and have a conversation with them. Like, we are all more than happy to jump on calls and have conversations. So yeah, never feel any pressure, and do your due diligence on a vendor. But then my biggest one, just from in general with wedding planning, is if you're not a very traditional person, look at every element and just decide what you want to do, because that's been a really fun thing that Lydia and I have done. And like, we're doing some stupid things at our own wedding. Like, I've decided, partly because I saw it at a wedding that we were capturing, I've decided at our wedding that I'm going to do a wedding entrance, because there was
lovely.
There was a guy, JP, who he was great, and it was such a fun wedding. But he what's the song called? But he had a really big song, a really upbeat song. I don't know what it's called, but you know, the one where it's like jump, jump, jump.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He decided.
It sounds like jump around, kind of, doesn't it?
Yeah, jump around. There we go. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I think it is jump around.
Jump around. Yeah. Excuse my bad singing.
Don't forget. You don't need any of our singing on this, but that's one thing. Go with the singer, not any of us singing.
Yeah.
But it was just such a fun moment, and obviously that's not traditional at all. But it kind of then set the tone for the rest of the wedding ceremony, because all of the guests were like shocked it happened. They kind of all got up off their feet, got moving a little bit, and so that's one thing that I've just completely stole. But I think just look at the whole day and just decide what's right for you, because at the end of the day, you're probably never going to spend this amount of money on a single thing ever again. So make it perfect to you.
That's absolutely. No, I don't think any other vendor we've had on here has said something like that. So no, that is absolutely a brilliant tip that I haven't even actually thought of personally. I talk about it, but I've never actually said it as a tip. So no, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed we can actually work together one day, because that'd be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I would absolutely love it. And hopefully this time next year we'll have been at the same award ceremony and both won. That would be the goal as well.
Yes. No, fingers crossed. No, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you.
Love to Lydia.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck for the wedding. Good luck for the wedding. And yeah, if you're not having a piece of wedding cake, whatever you're having, just send us a piece.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. It was such a pleasure to have Ollie on with us this week. And as you can see, I've got Henry with me. So whoever's watching this, Henry is here. Henry is with me. Dennis is sat over in the window waiting for people to come home. But thank you so much for Ollie, who's taken out the time to come speak to us on Zoom. I really hope you enjoyed this podcast and have learned a few things from it, just through our experiences. That's all we can do. It's all we can share is our experiences. Just to hopefully give you guys some advice on what it's like to plan your wedding, if it's a content creator you're looking for, or previous episodes. I think this is we're in season 2. I think this is episode 6, I believe. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, listening in. Obviously, this is going on YouTube as well, so feel free to check the video out. We are recording right now. Feel free to check it out, like, subscribe, comment. Likewise with Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Obviously, this is on there for anyone who's listening. Give us a 5-star review, a 5-star rating. That would mean so much for us. Also, if you have any kind of queries or questions or anything you would like to know, any further future guests you'd like us to get on, give us a message on Instagram, Facebook, anything. And hopefully we'll be seeing you in the next one. Thank you for listening to the JOL Wedding Podcast. Share this podcast with anyone you know who is on the journey of planning a wedding. Check out other episodes of this podcast as well as links to our social media platforms at the JOL Wedding Podcast.